Hey guys, Brett Day here, and today we're going to take a quick look at 3 things that will help you become a better photographer. Let's get started. Do a quick search on YouTube or Google or any search engine for how to become a better photographer, and you're going to be bombarded with things like learn how to compose your images better, or learn how to light better, and learn the exposure triangle. And while all of these things will help you become a better photographer, there are actually a few more out there that I think will really help you elevate your game. So what could be more important than learning about composition or lighting or the exposure triangle? Well, there are actually quite a few things that you need to take into consideration if you want to improve as a photographer. And really they all revolve around gear, or more specifically, love of gear, and social media and how it can actually be holding you back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is social media and how it could actually be having a negative impact on you as a photographer. It's so easy these days to just pick up your smartphone and open up Instagram or Flickr or any other photo sharing site and see all of the amazing pictures that photographers around the world are posting to their feeds. While it's absolutely wonderful that we get to open up these applications and see all of the wonderful images that photographers around the world are producing, it can actually quickly have a negative impact on yourself, because you're going to find yourself comparing your work to the work of others, and this is going to lead you down a slippery slope. Now, I already know what you're thinking, and that's, Brett, that's never going to happen to me. I love seeing everyone else's work, but it's not going to have a negative impact on me and what I do. And while I truly hope that is the case, it's a very easy path to get on, and it's one I've been on myself. I would open up my phone and see beautiful landscapes or beautiful astrophotography shots, magnificent portraits, and so many more. And I would start to question myself on whether I belonged in this profession or whether my images were good enough to post to Instagram in the first place. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with jumping on our favorite social media platforms and looking at all the amazing work that others are producing. But I will say, the second that we start comparing our work and our abilities to other photographers around the world, we're going to start to have issues. What you've absolutely got to remember is that every photographer out there, myself and you and everyone else out there, are at different levels, and we all have different abilities. And that doesn't mean our work is good or bad or better than someone else's. It just means it's different. And you should have no worries when it comes to posting your work on your feed. Don't worry about what other people think. Ultimately, you just need to post the work that makes you happy and that reflects what you can do with your camera. Now, this leads nicely into our second tip, and that is stop putting so much pressure on yourself to produce banging images every time you step outside with your camera. I can tell you from experience that the second you start piling pressure onto yourself to produce images that are going to amaze everyone, you're going to stop picking up your camera. And that's exactly what we don't want to have happen. Now, there was a time that I used to spend hours poring over applications on my phone like Google Earth, Google Maps, the Photographer's Ephemeris, and many other different applications trying to plan the perfect photography trip. My intent was to go out and create images that I could share on social media platforms that would wow everyone. The problem is, I'd get there and take my images, come back home, and I would feel like I've done nothing but work, and I didn't enjoy the experience. So one of the best things I can tell you to do as a photographer is just to go out completely unplanned. Go and explore, find somewhere new. Go out with no preconceived notions of what you want to capture. And I promise you, you will have so much more fun with your photography that you will walk away with more images than you would have done had you planned out your entire trip. I promise you. Now, tip number 3 revolves around GA.S, or Gear Acquisition Syndrome. Now, I'm really going to let rip about this, and it's probably going to cause a stink. Okay, I promise, no more bad fart jokes. But GA.S is a really big problem, and it is something that needs to be talked about. So what is GA.S, or Gear Acquisition Syndrome? It's a problem where photographers believe that the gear that they have simply isn't good enough to go out and perform the work that they want it to do, when in reality it absolutely is. When you start suffering from G.A.S, you're always searching for the next camera, you're always searching for the next lens or the next filter or the next tripod, camera bag, you name it. Anything that's out there that you think you need to go and buy, that is the only thing that you can think about. Now, this doesn't come from the fact that you don't appreciate the gear that you currently have, because you do. The problem comes from the fact that you're always trying to find a reason to go out and buy something new. I really think that G.A.S is something that every photographer goes through at some point in their career. I started out with an APS-C camera and I started improving my skills, and I couldn't help but think, well, what if I got a full frame camera? Surely my images will be that much better. I started out with kit lenses and my images became better and better as time went on. And again, I started thinking, well, what if I had this prime lens, or what if I had that zoom lens? My images will be that much better. And I can promise you that going out and buying a new camera or buying a new lens will not improve your images in the way that you think. You're not magically going to become a world-class photographer overnight because you went out and purchased a new camera or lens. So what do you need to do to improve your photography if going out and buying cameras and lenses isn't the answer? The simple answer is you need to invest in yourself. You need to pay for training. You need to go out and practice and master the camera and lenses and gear that you have. And then once you get to the end of the life of that camera or lens, or you really find a need for you to buy a new camera that can do something else for you, that can open up new creative avenues, that's when you go and buy a new camera or a new lens. When you stop lusting over cameras and gear and you start investing in yourself and you start maximizing the potential of the gear that you currently have, I promise you, you will have so much more fun with your photography. You'll want to pick up your camera and your camera bag and head out the door and go and create images of anything, because you know you can get the most out of your camera. So I urge you to stop worrying about your gear. If you have a camera that you purchased any time in the last 10 years and quite possibly even longer, you have nothing to worry about when it comes to image quality. If you have new modern lenses, again, doesn't matter if it's a kit lens or a fast prime, the gear that you have will help you create the images that you need. I do just want to say and make sure that everyone understands, I am not saying don't go out and buy new gear. Absolutely, if you find a need for a new camera or for a new lens that will help you to achieve a specific goal, absolutely go out and purchase that new gear. But don't just buy gear thinking it's going to help you improve your photography overnight. So there we have it, everyone. There are 3 tips that I believe can help you become a better, happier, more productive photographer. We talked about social media and how we shouldn't let it influence us. We talked about how to place less stress on ourselves and how we should just go out and have fun with our photography. And we talked about G.A.S, or gear acquisition syndrome, and how we shouldn't let our pursuit of the next best thing make us an unhappy photographer. I hope that these 3 tips have helped you, and I really hope that you can go out and enjoy your photography a little bit more. Thank you everyone so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider hitting the like button, and I'd love for you to join me for future videos, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button too. Until next time, take care.